Amazing. Well, hello there, my lovely Next Gen fam, and welcome to Mentor Moments with Next Gen HQ. We have a fantastic interview coming up, so make sure you have your notebooks, you're sitting back, you're comfortable, and you're ready for what's to come. We are so excited to have Rich Daughtridge on with us today, and he's going to be sharing his entrepreneurial journey and some lessons that he's learned along the way. Rich is the president and CEO of HighRock Group, which includes many a thing, including a marketing and web design firm, experiential movie theaters, and even more that we're going to get into. He graduated from the Virginia Military Institute with a degree in business and economics. So he's got the brains behind it all. And he also played professional soccer after college, which is a cool twist to your journey. But Rich, we are so excited to have you on with us today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Rachel. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to
it. Amazing. I love this kind of competitive energy that you've been able to infuse into everything that you're doing. And we're gonna dive in and hear a little bit more on that, I hope.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, to start us off, we do a little bit of a Next Gen tradition with every single person that we interview, and that's some rapid fire questions. So are you all ready for me? I'm going to throw them at you.
I'm ready.
Amazing. What is one book that you'd recommend to others?
Oh, good question. Really, the one that I've been reading the most is Traction. It's a book about the EOS entrepreneurship operating system. That's the latest and greatest, and I'm sort of addicted to it.
I love that. How about one healthy habit that you have?
Healthy habit. I'm trying to get back into healthier habits post-COVID. And I ran today for the first time in a while. My wife just texted me and said, "Did you run?" And I said, "Yes." So healthy habit is coming back, which is basically working out and eating well.
I love that. It's something that we can all hold each other accountable for as well. It's been quite a while since I've had a healthy habit like that. What is your favorite season and why?
I love the fall season. I tend to be hot-blooded, and I just enjoy the fall weather and the leaves, and just, I don't know. It seems like Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. So yeah, I would say fall.
That is absolutely the right answer to that question. Fall is also my favorite. And how about the most influential mentor that you've had in your life?
Most influential mentor, I would say, actually it's a local guy. He's a local business owner and a politician. His name is Andrew Serafini. He's just a wonderful leader in the community. At the same time, he's a great father. He's a great husband. And so I've really gotten close to him over the years. And so I would say Andrew Serafini, which many of you may not know, is basically a guy who runs, or who used to be in the Senate in the state of Maryland. And has a business.
Amazing. Well, hello there, Andrew. We'll have to send you this video once it's all done and ready. Amazing. Well, now that we know you a little bit better, Rich, we're going to kind of dive into more of the story of who you are and what your journey has looked like. And to kick it off, I'd love to take you back to the earlier moments of building your career, because it seems like the professional soccer to the world of media and marketing and design, that's a really interesting jump to kind of make at the point that you did. Can you tell us how this transition came about and potentially what obstacles that you had to face to really bring it all to life?
Yeah, it was a unique journey, I think. When I graduated from the Virginia Military Institute, I went there on a soccer scholarship. I did pretty well, and I had an opportunity to try out for, it was DC United's farm team. It was called Hampton Roads Mariners. And went to the tryouts, 100 plus people there. Somehow, some way, I got offered a contract, one of two people that day out of 100 or so. So it was a dream come true. It was a brand new stadium. And so I guess, my wife tells me that I had to get soccer out of my system. So, which was the correct perspective. And so really I jumped into the world of playing. I went straight from graduation in 1998, Virginia Military Institute. And then they put me up, paid for my stay in Virginia Beach. And so opened a new stadium. We actually opened to DC United and played there for that season. I then went to Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's really where I was playing at the same time. I really was starting to dabble in business. I just started dabbling with web design and what web design looked like. And back then it was, sites for the first time. And so I guess I sort of kept chipping away at that business, played for about, through the Charlotte season, my second season. And then I went to we moved back to where I was from in Hagerstown, Maryland, and played indoor soccer. And again, I sort of built this business, this web design business, while I was playing. It was a side hustle, if you will. And so I guess I brought that competitive energy. And then when it was time to move on, after I, got it out of my system, after about 7 years, I basically just jumped into the business full time. And we started a company called HighRock back in 2005. It was essentially a marketing firm. We did a lot of website design. We did graphic design. We eventually did video production, and sort of grew that company for the next 4 or 5 years. And I guess running and starting a business from scratch is extremely difficult. And so I think there's this level of grit that entrepreneurs need. Thankfully, I think I learned that at the Virginia Military Institute, and I also learned that playing soccer, that really catapulted us into a number of other ventures later in my career.
I think there's such a beautiful and natural connection between those two worlds that you've kind of described, the competitive sensation and also the collaboration that sports and being on a sports team kind of brings you. That's for sure felt through building a business venture. You have a team, you have an end goal. Might be a little bit of a different end goal when you're building a business, but there's still a lot of overlap between those two, I think.
Yeah, there is. And I mean, I think, like I said, starting a business is extremely hard. It's training when no one else is training. It's working when no one else is working. Late nights, early mornings. I have an amazing wife. We've been married for over 22 years now. She's stuck with me through all those times when I just work like crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think you have this, you have these goals in mind, and you have this, what it's going to take to get there, and it's not going to be easy. And then the whole team camaraderie, leadership thing, I think you learn that from sports often.
Yeah.
And especially at the professional level. I always describe it that practices were always harder than the games, because you have, top level athletes that you're playing against day in, day out, and they're actually battling for a job, right? They're actually paying their dues in my case early on, but then they actually, they're providing for their own family. So practices were hard. Practices almost felt like that you almost were competitive with yourselves in order to go out on Saturday night and win the game against another city that's coming into town. So there are a lot of parallels. And I am super competitive. I think I'm less competitive than I used to be as I get older. But I am super competitive, so that there's a drive there that I think has just always been there since I've been a kid.
Absolutely. But it seems like right after, again, when I was doing a little bit of digging into what your history has looked like, it seemed as though that theater and cinema played a role, even possibly before HighRock and HighRock Group kind of came about for you. What did you learn from founding those particular businesses and kind of going down those paths that have directly affected what you're doing to this day?
Yeah, so we started the HighRock, the agency, the marketing agency, in 2005. We were successful. We grew our company and office in Baltimore, but entrepreneurs, I think, have an itch to want to tackle the next thing, and it's both a good thing, and it's also a curse at a large level, because we have a tendency to get distracted. So it was when HighRock was rolling, we were doing well. The old 10-screen movie theater in town was actually being run poorly. It wasn't going very well from a attendance perspective, and we just thought if we threw enough marketing at it and turned it around. We did VIP leather recliners back in 2010, which was like way before the industry really started converting auditoriums. And but yeah, it actually was an opportunity to jump into a whole different world. It wasn't web design, it wasn't marketing and advertising, it was the entertainment industry, and we knew nothing about the entertainment industry. But somewhere deep down inside, we felt like, we're marketers by our nature, and we thought that if we could deliver a better product, those leather recliners, if we did events, if we did just made movie going an experience, that was a key to a successful movie theater. So we did that in 2010. It essentially crushed us for a couple of years because it was super hard. Again, it was an old dilapidated building, and we just, blood, sweat, and tears for sure. And then, but we were successful. At about year 2 or 3, we started to actually pay off some of our debt, and basically did a second location in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, and now we just opened one recently, about 2 months ago, in Frederick, Maryland. So.
I mean, talk about the sense of grit that you mentioned before, having to go through all of that and learning as also at the same time you're trying to develop and build out the side of the business. That must have been an incredibly stressful but enjoyable time to look back on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, the way I'm wired, there's a deep sense of fulfillment, I guess, when you take something and you work really hard at it, you build a team around it. You talk a lot about mission and vision and core values and all that stuff, and you apply what you've already done in other businesses to this sort of entertainment space, this Hollywood movie space, and working with a different clientele or a different team, which a lot of times is high schoolers or younger kids, versus professionals in our agency. And but yeah, you get to the place where you turn that business around, and there's a deep sense of fulfillment and gratitude, and you remember how hard it was, and it makes it sweeter at the same time. And then you have this moment where I think you check yourself and you say, we're really not that great. First of all, like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not be arrogant about the fact that we can take a movie theater. Let's make sure we stay grounded in our foundation, of just always being grateful, always being community oriented. So we sort of stayed in that space of just community, and honestly, the benefit, it was even better than we could have imagined. We took it from 60,000 admits in 2010 to 375,000 admits about 5 years later. And, we just sort of viewed the industry, the entertainment space, as not a turnstile business, but a place where you can come and actually share memories with your family, or share memories with your significant other. And I think that missional sort of perspective is what we've learned over the years. If you stay true to that and you do the fundamentals, and it's, obviously the financials and the profit and loss statement have to be solid, but sort of that sort of social entrepreneurship side of things actually really pays dividends.
You're talking to a community girl right here, so I understand. It's that whole sense of power that you find from doing something that's almost bigger than yourself. It's bigger than the business. When you start really being able to affect and impact other people's lives, it seems like it almost feels much loftier when you kind of set your goals to the business.
Yeah, and I think from a mission perspective, our mission at Warehouse Cinemas, our latest venture, is to create memories or moments worth remembering, and that concept is I think unique in the movie going space. Again, it's most what they call exhibitors, movie theaters, treat it as a turnstile. Disney or whoever the studio is promotes the movie. They show up, they leave, they get expensive popcorn, expensive soda, and I don't think there's a missional aspect to it. And when you process and you make decisions through the filter of your mission, you act differently. You do different type events. You make it an experience in addition to a movie. And I think that's what's helped us be successful, even in our short time at Warehouse Cinema so far. I always use this story, like I'm a true introvert. Like, I'm very much an introvert. I'd rather recharge by myself and my family. But every Christmas Eve, I would go out and I would dress up as the conductor for Polar Express. And it was that thing where it's like, the conductor's going to be there, and like my father-in-law had a serious, like, legit get up for like this conductor outfit with like the whole 9 yards, with like a whistle and everything. And so I got out of my own body, I guess, and went to this world where I had to be an extrovert. And it was an example of it was $1 to come out to that movie, and 400 people showed up for that one showing of Polar Express. And I'm in this outfit, blowing a train horn in the auditorium and yelling all aboard. Like, I was exhausted afterwards. But I think it was an example of, why are we doing this? It's not a matter of what we're doing. We're showing a movie, but why are we doing this? We're doing this because there's a sort of magical moment when 400 people come and they sit in an auditorium. Sometimes they're in their pajamas because it's early in the morning on Christmas Eve. But it's a memory that every year we did it, we had 400 people. It sold out, and I think that's what they remembered when they made the decision for the next movie they wanted to come to. They said, you know what, I have a connection with this brand where they actually create about creating those moments worth remembering as opposed to just showing the movie. So
please sign me up for the next time that you do this Christmas Eve showing, and I hope you still come in costume.
I think it's right on the calendar.
That's amazing. I love that, creating a moment worth remembering, especially in kind of the current times that we find ourselves in, where the digital world kind of so quickly takes over everything else, and it makes moments almost kind of blur together and make them not worth remembering. So being a brand that really puts that at your core and ensures that anyone who comes and experiences this will walk away with a memory. Like, what a better way to make a loyal customer or fan base at the end of it.
Yeah, and you know, as a marketer, we talk a lot about brand equity. So we're essentially doing the right thing. We're creating those moments worth remembering, but at the same time, we're developing this brand equity that is pretty powerful. I mean, there's not many things that that can hurt a brand that stays true to that brand equity conversation, because you know, it's not a transaction; it's actually a relationship. And I think we've done that successfully in the past at the movie theaters. We've done that successfully at HighRock. And that's, again, it's a missional thing that, you know, we get caught up in the what we do. But I think if you continue to focus on the why we do it, and then you constantly remind your leadership team that this is why we're doing it. We actually have a brand promise, or a brand persona, if you will, in the marketing world. Brand persona is sort of how you act, how you speak, how you, or what events you do. And our brand persona is called the everyday hero. And it's basically this concept of high quality, but yet everyday person. It's a person, it's relatable, they're authentic. And so everything we do from a social media perspective to our messaging on ads elsewhere is this sort of everyday hero concept. And what's powerful about that, and again, it's back to the mission, is every one of our staff members at Warehouse Cinemas in Frederick, their brand promise, what they deliver every single day, is what we call Save the Day. And Save the Day is this concept that goes back to creating those moments, right, where they think differently about how they greet someone. The inflection in their voice is excited that they're there. They take the popcorn to the seat for the mom who has 3 kids in tow. It's basically saving the day for only 2 hours. But saving the day for that moment, for that person, is how our staff then translates that brand promise day in and day out. And I think so when you start with that missional sort of, you know, why you do it, and then that goes all the way down to the actual people on the front lines that are serving the customers, I think it's different. I think at the end of the day, that movie theater experience is different than if you were to go to someone that doesn't think that way.
Absolutely. I'd love where this conversation is going. And this kind of leads into our last question, and I think might have some ties to what you just mentioned, but it seems that you really make sure that you are leading your team and infusing every single person on it with this core mission and this value that you're bringing, and ensuring that the smallest and the biggest of actions kind of reflect that. I'm sure that a lot of that staff, especially when it comes to the cinemas, does look like some younger individuals kind of working behind the counter and all of that. So if you had to answer what your hope for the next generation of leaders would be, what would your answer to that be?
I mean, I think I've actually started a podcast that we're launching in about 2 weeks. It's called Relative Profitability, and I had an itch to do that, so it's top of mind right now. So I'll say what that podcast is. I think it's what entrepreneurs, what leaders need to be thinking about. You know, at the end of the day, we do have a responsibility as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, to create strong and healthy organizations. And that typically is a strong profit and loss statement. But I think what we've seen in the past is that can also go too far if not balanced with what we describe as healthy relationships. So this concept of relative profitability, the podcast, is the concept of balancing both, making sure that you have a strong P&L, that you're a strong leader, that you constantly educate yourself, that you make good decisions for the betterment of the team and the organization as a whole and other stakeholders and investors or whatever it is. But at the same time, don't end up at the end of the day where you don't have healthy relationships. You're not nurturing relationships with, if you're married, your spouse, if you have kids, with your kids, first and foremost, in my opinion, but even the people around you, your parents. I think too many entrepreneurs, and I think we can learn from the lessons of sort of the .com boom and the sort of spend 16 hours at work to get that success, if you will. I don't think that you're successful at the end if you don't also have the opportunity to share it with people that you care about most. And so it again, back to it's fun to turn around a movie theater. It's fun to jump in and, take this thing and scrape gum off the bottom of the seats and just pour your guts into it for 2 years. And it's really hard. And the people that are closest to you come along that journey, come alongside you on that journey. But then there's the moment when it does turn around, when you show up and the parking lot's full, you can turn to the people that you care about the most and say, we did it, thank you for staying on this journey with us. And I think at the end of the day, you're successful, you're profitable if you have both.
So making time for both profit and people and ensuring that they are prioritized equally kind of along the way.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, Rich, I want to thank you so much. We've officially taken up about 25 minutes of your day so far. But if a next gener were looking to kind of keep the chat going with you or get connected, where can they best do that?
So I didn't mean to pitch the podcast necessarily, but we are launching that in about 2 weeks. So it's called Relative Profitability, but I'll find it across the internet on all podcast networks. And so that's probably a good place to start. Also, our websites are HighRock, and then also WarehouseCinemas.com is our latest venture. And then if they want to follow me on Twitter, it's Rich Daughtridge, at Rich Daughtridge. LinkedIn, same thing, at Rich Daughtridge. And Instagram, same thing, at Rich Daughtridge.
Amazing. We're going to share all of this. I'm going to go right over to the Warehouse Cinemas website and make sure that I sign up for this Christmas Eve showing. But for today, thank you so very much, Rich, for coming on. And we can't wait to hear how a next gener who's watched this has been inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. It was great.
Absolutely. Goodbye, everyone.